mastering your emotions in the questioning and not being about yourself. So talk to me about the secrets and how they can work together.
Well, the first one, master your emotions. This is where it begins, because it's only when you're in control of your own emotions that you're even in a position to take a potentially negative situation or person and turn it into a win for everyone involved. When you do this, a couple of really wonderful things happen. First, you put yourself in the position of being in learner's mode. Okay,
Yeah.
so you can actually take in and receive and embrace information you may otherwise would not have if you were stuck on just being right with what you know right now. Okay, so, and this actually puts you in a position of being right more often.
We know all real estate agents want to acquire clients consistently so that they can grow their business and income for that great lifestyle. This broadcast brings you the best and top people in the industry to support that quest. This is Dave Finale, and I'm here to bring you the Real Estate Skill Builder broadcast, Real Estate Talk-TGIF, brought to you by Real Estate Skill Builder and Align, your premier real estate solution. And we're back. Thank you so much for that video. Thank you so much, Bob, for being here. This is episode 391, 386 weeks in a row. It's just something that we love to do. We're here with only great people, and one of my favorite authors, Bob Berg. Just to give you a little bit more insight as to this young guy here. Today's guest is someone whose work has genuinely changed how people lead, sell, communicate, and show up in business. Bob Berg is the co-author of the Go-Giver series, a body of work that's helped millions rethink success by putting value, clarity, and genuine influence at the center of everything they do. His approach isn't theory, it's practical wisdom that transforms how you negotiate, resolve conflict, and build trust. Bob, you're the real deal, man. Thanks so much for coming on. Thoughtful, sharp, widely respected, and I am so honored to have you here today, man. Thank you for coming on today.
The honor is mine, Dave. Thank you.
Great. So I want to get right into this stuff because, see, the thing about the Go-Giver is there's a lot of things, the series, a lot of things in it that we can use in our business, which is real estate. And there's a lot of ways that things get interpreted, but the Go-Giver series and the Go-Giver influencer, which we're going to talk about today, there's really no way to interpret things. And one of the things I'm going to start with the end, really, the number 5, which is something that I always think about when it comes to my business in sales. And you have to give up the need to be right? So Bob, there's a lot of things that go on with how you guys wrote these books and everything. These are not books where it's a textbook. It's a story, and it makes so much sense. And you can live the story, and you love the characters, and you just move on and they develop. And one book has stuff from the other books in it. So if you know the stories, you go forward. So, but this is my favorite thing, is give up the need to be right, because a lot of real estate agents start with the process of, I am this, I am a realtor, my team does this, we're the best, yada, 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 all that crap. Talk to me about that one in particular.
Yeah, and it's a great point. When John and I put this principle together, or not put it together, because there's nothing new about it. It's nothing we put together. We just really, it's just a principle that has been around forever. And that is letting go of, as we said, having to be right. Now, that doesn't mean you don't want to be right. It doesn't mean you're not going to be prepared and do everything you can to be right, live in reality, get your facts right, of course. But it's losing or letting go of your attachment, that emotional demand, right?
Yeah.
Letting go of your attachment to have to be right, or bless you, have to be right about everything, have to be right every time. And when you do this, a couple of really wonderful things happen. First, you put yourself in the position of being in learner's mode. Okay, so you can actually take in and receive and embrace information you may otherwise would not have if you were stuck on just being right with what you know right now. Okay, so, and this actually puts you in a position of being right more often. But the other thing, when you're dealing with a prospect, with a customer, or with a client, and you let go of your need, that attachment to having to be right, and they know and they can sense that you're not just looking to defend a position. Your ego isn't what is at stake here. They know you're not looking to be right, and that just as importantly, Dave, you're not looking to be right by making them wrong.
Right.
Now they're going to very naturally let down their own defenses and join you in that journey of discovering the truth wherever that truth may lead. And that's a great way to work with someone.
Absolutely. I mean, one of the things that I think a lot of either newer real estate agents or agents that make look, we make cold calls. That's part of our lead gen system. It's one of the pillars that we all have to do or we all need to do. But it all leads to conversations,
Sure.
which is basically one thing. I mean, the difference between here's something really strange. The difference between the word contact and contract. I don't mean the definitions. I mean the letters. There's one letter missing from contact. And to get to the contract, you need the R, which is relationship, right? And the great part about that is by giving up the need to be right, it's not that you're not right. It's just that you don't want to tell somebody that they're wrong, right? So if you start telling people what you know about their house or telling people what you know, those are statements being made, and they're about you. They're not about the other person who you're supposed to be caring about, and asking them questions to really find out empathy, right? Putting yourself in their shoes, etc. Going forward with the premise of the go-giver and the go-giver influencer. So I think that's the really important thing that a lot of agents don't look at it, and they're not really great about it. Would you agree with that?
Well, not only would I agree, but there's so much in what you just said that we can unpack and unwrap. I mean, it really comes down to taking your focus off of yourself and placing it on others. We always say, and I probably said this 4 years ago when I was first on your show, the ultimate premise or the basic premise of the go-giver is that shifting your focus from getting to giving. And when we say giving in this context, we simply mean constantly and consistently providing immense value to others is not only a more fulfilling way of conducting business, it's the most financially profitable way as well, but not for any kind of woo-woo way out there, magical, mystical type of reasons. Oh, just be nice and give and good things like no, not at all. It's much more rational than that. When you're that person who can take your focus off yourself and instead focus on discuss, on how you can serve others, discovering their needs, their wants, their desires, helping them, making it about helping them overcome their problems and challenges. In other words, making it not about you, but about their happiness. And when you can do that, people feel great about you. They want to be in relationship with you. They want to do business with you, and they want to tell the world all about you. They want to be what we call your personal walking ambassador. But it all starts, as you said, with that shift off of yourself and onto them.
Yeah, and it's really interesting what you said. And you probably said it on the last broadcast. You did. It's right in my notes. I have my notes from 4 years ago. So you did. And I'm gonna go to that book too.
And by the way, that either means, Dave, that I'm very consistent or very boring.
No, it's consistency. And I'm going to give one example of that of a coach. My coach for years, John Cheplack, I met him for 17 years ago. His message 17 years ago is the same as his message is today. He just added stuff to it, but the same thing, right? So that's consistency, but it's also it's also integrity as well, right? Anyway, so one of the things that we were talking about back then, and I'm just going to bring that in because we talked about that, is authenticity, right? People are going to draw themselves to you through authenticity of you being yourself, and receptivity of you being open to receive rather than you have to receive. I'm sorry, you tell me. Do you have to receive in order to give, or you have to give in order to receive?
Well, the process starts with the giving of value to others. This is why John David Mann in our second book, the Go-Givers Sell More, the only one that's not a parable. It's why we say money is simply an echo of value. Okay, it's the thunder, if you will, to value's lightning. And by the way, John's the one who coined that phrase. I don't think of those things. That's John. He's so brilliant. But really, when you think about it, money is an echo of value. It basically means that it first starts with what you can do, how you can help, how you can serve that other person, whether it's listing their home, whether it's helping them own the home they want.
Right.
And when you do, well, then you receive income from it. So it starts with the giving, and
Yep.
you've got to be able to receive. It's just like, and I'm sure I said this last time, it's like breathing out and breathing in. It's
You
not one.
absolutely did. Yes, you did.
It's
I
not
got it
one
right
or
here.
the other. Right.
So
And go ahead.
yeah, so all right. So I want to get into the influencer and the points it make. We're gonna skip to the end, which is actually what you learned during the book, right? And there's the 5 secrets of genuine influence. Where you have, if you have not read the book, by the way, my kind audience, you should. And if you look at the books, they're all purposeful in the same relation, right? So the 5 secrets of genuine influence: breathe, listen, smile, be gracious, and trust. And then there's the 5 principles, which is basically coincident with that, which is master your emotions, step into the other person's shoes, set the frame, communicate with tact and empathy, and give up the need to be right, which we've already talked about. So using these influences, I just want to talk about the 5 secrets of genuine influence, because it's all about what I would have to call active listening, which is really simple. What I teach is about ask a question, listen to the answer, repeat the answer, affirm the answer, and then go on to your next question. And it all has to do with mastering your emotions in the questioning and not being about yourself. So talk to me about the secrets and how they can work together.
Well, the first one, master your emotions. This is where it begins, because it's only when you're in control of your own emotions that you're even in a position to take a potentially negative situation or person and turn it into a win for everyone involved. Yet, how often do we as human beings, and based on what someone else says or does,
Right.
we allow ourselves to become frustrated, anxious, victimized, angry, and we say or do, Dave, that very thing that, rather than moving us closer to the results we want, does the exact opposite.
Right.
Exact pushes that person away. Now, why do we do this? And the answer is, well, because we're human beings. And as human beings, we are emotional creatures. Now, we like to think we're logical, and to a certain extent, of course, we are, but we're pretty emotion driven. We make major decisions based on emotion, and we
Yep.
back up those decisions with logic, right? We rationalize, which simply means we tell ourselves rational lies. And so we do that to, a lot of times, justify not only the emotional decision we made, but the emotional behavior that we displayed that was really counterproductive. Now, understand, I'm not in any way saying deny your emotions or forgo your emotions. No, of course not. Emotions are a wonderful part of life. They bring us joy. They make life worthwhile. You just recently had your 2 beautiful granddaughters that were born. Imagine if you took emotion out of that. No, of course not. The emotion's wonderful. However, we need to make sure that we are the master of our emotions, as
Right.
opposed to our emotions being the master of us. Or as one of my great friends, a real mentor, Dondi Scumaci, as she so wonderfully puts it, by all means, take your emotions along for the ride, but make sure you are driving the car.
So I want to talk about this in a perspective of so many people that I've seen and worked with in the real estate industry, where they have a need to make money. Let's face it, real estate is a vehicle so you can have other things, but so is a 9 to 5 job, a regular job, whether you're in manufacturing or finance or banking or teaching or whatever it is. You got that job where you go to work, you get a paycheck.
Right.
Real estate and other commission sales is a situation where, some places you get a draw and you have to make quota. In real estate, there's not many brokerages have quotas. we work on the basis of, we want to do so many things and have you make money. And that's what we're all about, helping people first. But there's the individual, Bob, that I'm trying to help every day, and I can't figure it out, the switch, whereby they have not mastered their emotions because they need to make money. And every call is with the idea, I got to get this sale. I got to get this listing. I got to get this buyer. And there's a switch that doesn't take away their emotions. Is there any way that you could explain to that type of individual how to master their emotions to ease up, to be able to have a better conversation and listen better and not have that money-making idea in there, and to think about them rather than themselves first?
Yeah, well, first, it's very important for a person to understand, for anyone in real estate to understand that nobody is going to list their home with them. Nobody is going to buy a home from them because you want to make money.
That's right.
Right? They're not going to do it because you want to send your kid to a private school, or you want to take a great vacation or buy that new car. And they're not even going to do it because you're a really nice person, even though I know you are. People are going to list with you. They're going to buy from you. They're going to do business with you because they believe that they will be better off by doing so than by not doing so. So when you think about it, it just makes logical sense. Let's go into the logic mode. It makes logical sense that the most self-interested thing you can do for yourself as a realtor is to totally put your self-interest aside and focus on bringing immense value to that person. Now, as a leader, when you're working with someone who has that mindset of this other person, okay, they're going for the money. And again, there's nothing wrong with making a lot of money. It's just that
Right.
money is always the result
Right.
of the value you've provided another person. No one's buying from you or doing business with you because you want the money. So the focus must be on that other person. So when you're working with someone who's newer maybe and doesn't have that mindset yet, it's because first they don't know. So this is where the relationship between you and that person you're leading comes into play. You've heard me say before, and it was in the Go Giver, and I talked about this in Endless Referrals, my first book 30 years ago. The golden rule, basically, of business, of leadership, of sales, is that all things being equal, people will do business with and refer business to and allow themselves to be led or influenced by those people they know, like, and trust. So that's why the relationship's so important, because when you've got that relationship with this newer person, now you can say to them, hey, you've got so much potential, and I love the heart you put into this, and I love the work you're willing to put into this. Would it be okay with you, or, would you mind if I shared something with you that I think can help you leverage your talent even greater and result in a lot more money for you? Now, when they say, go ahead, I'm sorry.
No, I said I love that. That's beautiful. That's fantastic.
Yeah, and then when they say, well, yeah, sure, because you haven't made them defend. Now, this is, by the way, we talk about this in the Go Giver Influencer about speaking with tact and with empathy and getting right, stepping into their shoes, working, and this is exactly what we're talking about. And when you do that, now that person's not defensive, right? They're not resistant to you and defensive toward your idea. Instead, because of the way you approached it, with the relationship first and making it about them, now they're open to listening, and now you can explain that to them. And if you want, you can do it in third party. Something that you learned long ago, a while ago, or you learned long ago, was that when you're in a listing conversation with someone, it's recognizing that there's only one reason they're going to list with you, and that is because they believe that they're going to be better off by doing so than not. So from that mindset, what's most likely to have this happen? Is it you focusing on the commission, which on a certain level they're always going to be able to tell, or is it about you communicating the value you can provide to them? Well, it's the value I can provide to them. Okay, now how best would you do that? Would it be talking about you and the firm and how you're this and you're that? Or is it asking them questions and really discovering their needs, their wants, what they are looking to accomplish? Well, sure, it's right now you're just leading them to their making the right decision.
Absolutely. I mean, and you take in, I was talking about asking the question and listening. It all works along with what we're talking about with the five secrets of genuine influence, along with mastering your emotions, stepping into other person's shoes, and setting the frame. When we talk about I want to talk about setting the frame for a minute.
Sure.
And I
My
think this
favorite
is
topic.
really I think this is really important because I am not exactly sure how to do it. And that's an admission not of guilt, it's an admission of, hey, you know what, I need to get better at that, because this way I can be better with the people I'm helping to train, mentor, and coach, as well as having them being able to set the frames. So talk to me about the basic structure of setting the frame.
Well, that's why you're a pro, by the way, because rather than having to know it all, here's a guy yourself who's been so successful for so long and helped so many other people, but you're always looking for that edge. You're always looking to learn more. And I'll bet you probably do this actually very intuitively. And so first, what is a frame? Because I'll just suggest this. Setting the right frame is so important that if you do it correctly, you're 90% of the way to the result you want. On the other hand, do it incorrectly and you're 90% the other way. So first, what is a frame? A frame is simply the foundation from which everything else evolves. Quick example, non-real estate related. This is years ago, one of my favorite stories ever. I'm at a Dunkin' Donuts, and there's a little toddler, 2.5, 3 years old. He's running around the restaurant having fun when his parents call him over to their table. He starts to run over when suddenly he takes a spill and he falls on the floor. Now, he didn't hurt himself, you could tell, but he was definitely shocked. This was not within his realm of experience. So the first thing he did, you're a parent, so he looked at his mom and dad to get their interpretation of the event, right? What happened. He wanted to know, is this good? Is this bad? What do I cry? Do I, whatever. Well,
Right.
I'm looking at this and I truly believe that had the parents gotten upset and panicky and, oh no, my poor baby, he would have started crying. But they just handled it beautifully. They walked over hurriedly, but very calmly. And they were so serene. And they just got down on his level and they looked at him and they smiled and they laughed and said, "Oh, that looks like so much fun. What a good trick. Can you do that again?" And the
Oh,
little
wow.
boy started to laugh. Now, what they did was they set a productive frame from which he could operate. So rather than having to answer his objections, right, the crying and the tears and, "Oh no, it's okay, right." Instead, no, they set the right frame. So it just, right, okay. Now that's fine. That's easy to do when you go into a listing presentation, listing conversation, and you're just yourself and you set a good frame. Great. But what if that person or that couple um, are in a negative frame? Well,
Right.
if you buy into that frame, again, you're 90% of the way to where you don't want to go. So can we use an
Right.
example? Can we take an example, let's say, of
Yep.
you go into for a listening conversation and there's been a few people before you. You're going to be the final agent they're talking to, and you can tell there's some tension, and you don't know why, but there's definitely something there. So you're paying attention, and finally, when you sit down with a couple, one of them says, "We just want you to know that we've talked to 3 other agents, and they were absolutely obnoxious, and they told us why we had to do this at this price, and that they were number one and the only one we should go with. And we just want to let you know we're going to make our own decision, and we're not going to feel pressured to list with anyone." Now, that is absolutely an adversarial frame that's been set. It was set because of the other assuming that is what the other agents did. Who knows? But that is what we're dealing with because that's how the potential clients feel. Okay, so
Right.
as far as they're concerned, the frame is the potential clients against the agent. Well, if you operate from that frame, what do? You're defensive.
Yep.
You're trying to explain yourself, trying to
Yep.
justify your existence, or maybe you
Yep.
even come back a little too strong, right? It's not a good frame from which to operate. So, what if we reframe it And we simply say, and again, you'll use your own language and
Yep.
according to your style and so forth. But what if you just said something like, well, first, thank you for sharing that with me. And I'm sorry you had to go through that. Mr. and Ms. Prospect, while I've been honored to list and sell a number of homes in this community, whether I'm the right answer for you, we simply can't know without exploring deeper and really discovering your needs, your wants, what you are looking to accomplish. So please know this conversation is for all of us to determine that. And if it turns out we're a good fit, I'll be delighted to help you. But if not, that's also okay. So what you've done is you've reframed this from adversarial to one of
Right.
two allies who are both focused and interested in one thing, what's in their best interest, which is exactly what they are interested in. And I did a couple of things even within that dialogue where we gave them an out or back door so that they felt very comfortable and had right. And so, but yeah, that's basically how would you'd use tact and empathy in order to reframe what could be a potentially negative situation.
Absolutely. I mean, this is the scenario that you just talked about is not out of the ordinary. One way or the other, they may talk about the other people that they've talked to and interviewed, or interviewed them, or whatever it is, and it may say something about others. But no matter what the thing is about the other two, three agents, whatever it is, that response and that is all about them, and it's not about you and their best interest.
Exactly.
Um, and it's really important. And used the word tact, and one of the questions that I set up for us is why tact is more powerful than tactics. That's one of the things you talk about. You make a strong point about how these things can outperform tactics, but what's an example of a situation where tact completely changes the outcome? Is this it? Is this and where the facts don't?
Well, my dad always said he didn't. He always said that tact is the language of strength, right? And
Okay.
I've always loved that because for two reasons. One is because sometimes it takes a whole lot of strength to be tactful and not just fire back a response and let a person really verbally have it, right? It takes a
Yeah, yeah,
lot of,
yeah.
but also it's the language of strength because it's so much more effective. It's so much stronger than just talking at somebody and telling that person what to do and so forth. Again, we're dealing with human beings. Okay. Not necessarily creatures of logic. And Dale Carnegie taught us that in his classic, How to Win Friends and Influence People. He said the biggest mistake people make is thinking they're dealing with rational people. Right. And
Exactly.
so,
Exactly.
so we got to really be realistic and so here's the thing, and this is picking up on what you said. One of the things we said in the book is facts don't persuade, people persuade.
Right.
And that's the key. And two people can say the same thing. But if one of those people like, trust, believe, that's what you're going to act on. Right.
One of the things there's a couple of things that I really took to heart in the book, and I mean, I can go through all the questions I prepared and the conversation pieces, but this is what I really liked, and I'm still kind of getting it into my head. We talk about you use the example of the why. The phrase that we've all heard in life is, it doesn't matter if you win or lose, it's how you play the game. And as you went on in the book with that, you talked about it's not whether you win or lose. And I used this morning in a session. I swear to God, it's not whether you win or lose or how you play the game. It's why you play the game. And this was so impactful to me, which goes right along with what do you do? I guess what are you trying to accomplish? Can you go on a little bit about that and what and some more meaning in there?
Well, I mean, I think it always comes down to that. I think if you start with that, then everything else works from it. It's like we say, what's the definition of happiness? And well, we could take the dictionary definition, which is the mental feeling of well-being, and I think that's a good definition. I
Yeah.
go a little deeper into it and say that I would define happiness as a genuine and ongoing feeling of joy and peace of mind, the result of living congruently with one's values. And I think when
And
we
that, and that's
start,
what and that's why you play. That's why you play the game. I mean, it's yeah, okay. There's everybody talks about your why. That's not what I'm talking about here, and that's not how I interpreted it. You know, it's. I don't know. I didn't mean to interrupt you. Go ahead.
no, no, not at all. That,
Oh,
that was pretty much it. I think when you start
yeah,
from there and you measure everything, uh, against the values you hold, well, you kind of know why you're playing in the first place.
yeah. It's funny. I can go back to my personal experiences of competing in sports, no matter what it was. But you talk about the football player. Let's use him as an example. Why they're out there playing football? Well, okay, so let's face it. There's not a lot of professional jobs out there for football players. A lot of people that don't make it. And so, is it that why they play the game, why they enjoy it so much, why they do all the practice? For me, I can just go back to and I was never a professional athlete. I was an amateur at best fencer over the years, and I played it. Why did I play the game? You always want to win, I think, but I always played it for the competition, and it was so much fun. I got so much out of it. If I could have gotten paid for it, that would have been great. But that's not why I did it. Why I did it was because of the competition, and I knew that if I did what I was supposed to do, I would win. And honestly, I'd get a trophy or a medal or something at the end of the day, and that's why I did it. But the competition of one-on-one was so important to me that it just was so much fun. That's why I played the game.
And
Why you play the
ultimately it
game of
made
your
you feel,
business. So go ahead.
yeah, no, ultimately it made you feel good about yourself.
Yeah. And that's the same thing with any business, right? Why you're going to go out there and go after it. I'm going on and on. I apologize for that. Bob,
No,
if you were in real estate and needed to be pushed forward a little bit, using the go giver and the sequence of business and the laws, what would you say to a real estate agent?
well, I mean, I think first it is, going back to what you said about, uh, why are they in the game in the first place? Why are they
Right.
doing this? And it starts from there. But again, it always is going to come down to how do you best serve another person? And there's nothing, again, there's
Yeah.
nothing just touchy feely about that. No, in a free market based economy, and that simply means no one's forced to do business with you, right? We've got to always understand that it's only when we are able to communicate value to them that they're going to want to engage us. It always comes down to that.
Bob,
And it's the biggest mistake any professional makes to think that anyone's going to do business with you for any other reason.
absolutely. I want to thank you so much for coming on today. We're over time. I got three quick things, really. I always start the broadcast with something, and I forgot to do it, so I'm going to end it with it. What does TGIF stand for? I have to ask you.
I mean, in the vernacular, it's thank goodness for Friday, but thank goodness it's Friday. I don't use the term myself because to me, all days have the potential to be great. But that is, I guess that is so I don't have one that I have made up for that.
So for this broadcast, I didn't make it up. It just happened. Thank God it's finale. So, I mean, that's just the
Ah,
way
I
it
love
works.
that.
Hey,
Ooh, that's wonderful.
right. So I love that. And two other things. Number one, how can I help you grow your business? How can I help you grow? We got Berg.com out there. Talk about Berg.com because that's really cool.
Well, yeah, I invite anyone to come to the website if you'd like. And while you're there, if you would like to, you can subscribe to my daily impact email, which I send out Mondays through Friday mornings. And there's also information on the books. You can read a chapter or two for free to see if you like it first before clicking through. And while I'm no longer at 67 years old, getting on airplanes to speak at conferences when I have to travel outside of Florida, I am doing virtual keynotes and can
Awesome.
speak at your company conference, or if you're holding an event in Orlando or Miami or South Florida, I'm there for you there as well.
Awesome. That's fantastic. And next week, Nelson, if you put that out there, we have Scott Einbinder coming on. He's a motivational sales strategist, but we're going to talk about something that he's working with called the Pocket Coach. You're going to want to be there and want to see that. Bob, last but not least, we got the hat. And we're going to send you out this hat, Real Estate Skill Builder hat. Thank
Awesome.
you so much for being on. If you stay on for a second after we go off, that'd be great. everybody, thank you so much for tuning in today. We got Scott Einbeiner and the Pocket Coach next week. Can't wait to see you all. Thank you. Thank you so much, Bob. Ooh,